Good morning. Thank you so much for having us. Excited to be here. In this next segment, we're going to talk about equity as opposed to debt, and we're going to talk about crowdfunding. I have two amazing experts with us this morning that are going to share their wisdom. So, a little bit about, I'm going to be your MC this morning, a little bit about me, and I'll introduce our two panelists today. My name is Felena Hanson. I'm the founder of Hera Hub. It is a shared work and meeting space specifically geared towards female entrepreneurs. It's a spa-inspired workspace. We have 3 locations in San Diego, and we are franchising. We're expanding across the country. We signed our first deal in Washington, D.C., and we're looking at Dallas, San Francisco, and Los Angeles next. So I myself have been extremely involved in not only helping other women launch their business, but also giving them access to capital through resources. And as we end our segment today, we're going to talk about an upcoming event called Women Investing in Women that's taking place here in San Diego in July, and love for you to join us for that. So first, I'm going to introduce Miss Silvia Mah, Dr. Silvia Mah. And Silvia is an angel investor. She has an amazing background in the biotech industry specifically. She has a PhD in biochemistry from UCSD. She has her MBA from the Rady School as well at UCSD, and has worked in the technology transfer segment through UCSD and the Jacobs School of Engineering, has an incredible amount of experience in this particular topic. She now teaches lean startup to a group of students in Colombia. She herself is originally from Venezuela, and she is going to talk specifically about angel investing as well as venture capital. So I'm going to turn the floor over to her.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Yay, thank you so much. So welcome here today. I'm so excited to be here. Before I even start, I would love to find out who's in the audience so that I can talk specifically to each one of you if I can. And if all the questions that you have are not answered, please see me afterwards. So the first question is, who has ever considered some kind of angel funding of their business? Okay, awesome. Think you. Good job. And do we have any angels in the group? No. What about people who've been think about VC funding, venture capital funding? Okay, a little bit less. Okay, cool. So, so giving you a little bit of thank you, Felena, for an awesome introduction. I'm also Felena's business partner in Hera Hub itself, more of the franchising part of it, and direct Hera-Labs, which is a business accelerator for women-owned small businesses. So have some experience about talking to entrepreneurs about what are the benefits and risks of doing equity versus what we've just been talking about so far this morning. So this is just a little slide letting you know about non-equity financing and equity financing. So equity financing can compose of 4 major topics. One is angel investing, VC capital, private equity, and public stock market. So I'm going to be focusing most on angel and venture capital funding because that's what I'm most versatile on. So let's see. There we go. So kind of giving you a little bit about the stages so you know that there is some kind of process that people go through. Some don't do all of these steps, but I just wanted to give you everything so that you are informed to make the best decision that you can for your company to say, okay, how can I be the most successful? How can I get the benefits from these different types of funding and money? So going from stage 0 is really friends, family, and fools, basically. You want to bootstrap. You want to say, okay, how can I do this on my own? Really, maybe it is just you need $10,000 and you can go from there. Awesome, do it, please. The next one is seed money, which is mostly of looking at angels. And why angels at the beginning? It's angels are taking on some of your risk that you are going forward and saying, this is my idea, this is my brilliant business, but I really don't know how I'm going to get forwards, or I need quite a bit of money to be able to take this to market. But angels really need a little bit of proof of concept, some kind of proof that it's going to work. Anything. They don't really need, let's say, like we were talking, I was hearing the people before, not necessarily a business plan. Sometimes they just need a slide deck of maybe 12 slides. Sometimes they need a 5-page document of what you've been looking at. Of course, they want to see financials, but at such an early stage, you cannot show those financials, really honestly. So the next one is more of a startup, early stage development, going into Series A, Series B. Looking at Series A, Series B is where VCs come in, and they play a bigger role. They want the big business plan. They want to say, okay, what is your product? Have you developed a product? Have you done, let's say, one prototype? Have you considered a little bit of iterations on that prototype? So if anybody has done any lean startup methodology type of growth in their business or startup, is really looking at the customer. You want to see the customer and say, what are your needs? Let me build that product to your needs. So a little bit of lean startup there. So in the interest of time, so the fundraising process, and of course this is only 3 little stages, but I wanted to kind of give you the higher level thinking of this, is build some traction. When you are fundraising, you want to talk to people. You want to talk to, tell them what you're thinking about. Sometimes you think that you're going to give it away, but really we've talked about it a lot, that it takes a lot to build a business out of an idea. So yes, if you have intellectual property, awesome, protect it, great. But if you can build some kind of traction, talk to your strategic partners or talk to your network. What do you think? How can you help me? Have that ask. So I loved how the gentleman in the middle here asked, look, this is what I'm trying to do. Help me to do what I want to do. Have that ask. Have some traction of what you're trying to do. So find the capital sources that actually make the most amount of sense for your business right now. So that's what we talk a lot about to our entrepreneurs, is what do you need right now. Maybe 5 years from now, you might be looking at completely different financial schematic that you don't have maybe no idea, but maybe you do have an idea. But what do you need right now? What will get you to that next step? And talking to those people that can let you get to that next step. And then develop an amazing presentation of some sort. And sometimes it's not that it has to be fancy schmancy, okay? It has to be you. It has to be, why are you doing what you're doing, and why do the financials make sense for the passion that you're trying to do, really? Because an angel investor and even a VC is not going to only look at the rider of a horse. They're going to also look at the horse. So that's kind of like a thing that everybody talks about. It's who's driving it, and also the thing that's driving that innovation or that business. So think about those two things. They're not going to be only looking at one thing or another. So what is an angel investor? So I kind of gave a little bit of information about that already, but it's mostly an accredited investor. It sometimes is not an accredited investor. It's somebody who has capital. Invest at seed round or following or on a follow-up of a later round. Private individuals looking for a strong, high-growth investment, and they're typically going down. Typically, they're looking at 5 to 25% stake in your company. Okay? So these are the types of questions that you need to ask yourself. Am I willing to do that? Am I willing to give that away? Or am I willing to ask for a loan? You guys have to ask those questions to yourself and make that educated decision of where I want to go and who am I going to talk to. The key considerations of an angel investor are relationships, references, portfolio, and valuation. They're going to do their own valuation. Sometimes angel investors might not know how to do it. If they're like part of an angel investing group like Tech Coast Angels here in San Diego, they will have some kind of criteria, some kind of valuation that they do on their own. But if you're looking at individual angels, they might be doing it on their own. So you need to know how they're going to evaluate your company. You can ask those questions and see where they're going with that. Angel groups, I talked about Tech Coast Angels a little bit. They are entrepreneurial friendly. They also have partnerships with other angel groups. So sometimes an angel group in the location that you're at might not really like your deal or like your company, but they know of another one, let's say New York City, that you can get funded from. So don't give up that if one person says, no, I'm not interested in your idea, go to another one. Shop around. See if they are interested in you. So market efficiencies is about entrepreneurs can locate more easily elsewhere. So if you can't get funding here, sometimes you might have to go someplace else. We're hoping that we can build a greater San Diego, that there's more funding here instead of going elsewhere. But we're building that and seeing if it will create more and more possibilities here. So kind of giving you what angels want. We've gone through a little bit of this. So what have we not talked about? Yeah, so something about like ready for customers. So something about your business that they want to know is a customer ready to buy from you? Buy from the business idea that you have. So some kind of idea that you have about either that you've talked to them, talked to the customer, or you've done some beta testing or something. That's what an angel kind of wants to see about your business plan. And how do you find angels? Usually it's who you know. And seeing what your network will come back with you. So, but you need to be ready. A business plan needs to be ready of some sort. As I said, a PowerPoint deck is A-OK. Referrals from someone that the angel knows and trusts. That's how I've been able to find the deals that I've gotten as an angel investor, is somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, are you interested in something like this? And I'm like, well, why not talk to that entrepreneur and see what they have to offer? I think for me, the person who is in back of the idea is so important to me. Are they a serial entrepreneur? Have they done it before? If they haven't done it before, do they have a support system that will carry them through? That's one of the big things that I put a lot of my valuation on. The other one is about the idea. How good is that idea? How sustainable can it be? Is it reproducible? Are there different ways to position that product or that idea in different markets so that there is growth? Those are the kind of the things that I personally see. But you see how I'm one angel investor, another one standing right beside me is going to have a completely different look at your business idea. So I don't know how I'm doing on time. 2 more minutes, okay. So going a little bit about the differences between venture capital and angels, and how are they alike? They invest in exciting new businesses. They invest in more of the early stage businesses of something, let's say at UCSD, something that's coming right out of the lab is angel investment ready. Something that's been out of the lab, maybe a little bit of funding by some kind of method, maybe NSF or NIH funding. Okay, then they have to go into VC funding. I'm giving you a tech perspective, but that's kind of a perspective of any business, is that early stage idea. Let's evaluate it. Let's get some traction. Let's get some customers. Let's get some prototype going of some sort. That's where the VC is going to end up. They are going to take equity in exchange for the investment no matter what. And how are they different? Angels generally invest their own money, and VCs typically invest from a fund raised from others. VCs are more about valuation. They have, on average, they have a more stringent criteria than, let's say, an angel group. But that's kind of giving a really broad, like, swoop of stuff. And then I think we've done everything else. Yeah. So what is a VC? We've talked about this quite a bit already. They typically take 20 to 40%. Most invest in their own industry. That's very different than an angel investor too. A VC usually is within their own technical expertise or their own industry. They know their industry really well, and they're only going to invest in that. Angels might be more like a rainbow of different opportunities that they're interested in investing in. Let's see. What do VCs want? Yeah, one thing that the VCs are very interested in is coachability of the management team. So angels might not see that much, but VCs are like, okay, so the management team, we can replace that management team, but how coachable are they? Because the VCs are going to go in and say, you need to do this because they have a higher stake in that company. They want that company to succeed. Angels do too, but angels kind of are more stand back a little bit. So that's just a little bit of a difference there. And I think that's, yep.
Awesome. Great.
So you want to introduce Candace?
Absolutely. All right. So next up, we are going to talk about crowdfunding. I am excited to introduce Ms. Candace Klein. She has, frankly, paved the way for crowdfunding. I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about her background, but she was on the forefront at bringing the Jobs Act forward and paving the way for now what we're looking towards with crowdfunding, which is an option for equity. So she's going to talk a little bit about that as well. She is with a company called Dealstruck. They are here. She has a table. You'll have a chance to get some time with her. If you haven't scheduled, do you have any time slots left, Candace?
I'm sure I do.
Okay, all right. So be sure to talk to her after she speaks. She's going to take it away with crowdfunding.
Thank you, Felena. Hello, everyone. Are you wide awake? Are you excited to learn about crowdfunding? Well, I'm excited to talk about it, so hopefully you're excited. Hello, thank you again, Felena. My name's Candace Klein. I am a serial entrepreneur as well. I have run a couple of companies, and I'm Chief Strategy Officer and part owner in my current company, Dealstruck. My first company was Bad Girl Ventures, which was a microfinance company that invested in women-owned businesses. So I'm kindred spirits with the Hera Hub ladies here in San Diego. And I just recently moved here 6 months ago. So I'm loving it here. I picked the best winter ever to move from the East Coast to the West Coast. So love San Diego. I'm here today to talk to you about crowdfunding. And crowdfunding is a very hot term. We talk about it all the time. I'm sure you've read about it in the papers. And it means a lot of different things. And so I thought it'd be helpful to start off by giving you a little bit of background as to what crowdfunding is, and then we can talk about strategies that you may want to employ should you decide to run a crowdfunding campaign for your own business. Sound good? Okay. All right. So first, what are the models of crowdfunding? How many of you have heard of Kickstarter before? Show of hands. Or Indiegogo? Okay. So that's the most popular form of crowdfunding. And what you see over here is it's on the right-hand side, the yellow and purple. So there are two different forms of crowdfunding that have been popular since 2005. When you think of these two, you think of Indiegogo and Kickstarter primarily, because they were the two founding platforms for this. These are donation and rewards. So for a donation, if you're a nonprofit organization, if you have a cause, if you want to build a park in your community, you go onto these platforms, you raise $5,000, $10,000, $25,000. It's all in donations, and all you have to do is say thank you, pretty much, for that donation. Thanks a lot. That works really well for some companies, primarily for nonprofits and for causes. It doesn't tend to work well for businesses, going concerns. People don't want to donate money to a growing business. That doesn't make much sense. And so you'll notice when you see Kickstarter, it's usually a product or a cause. The causes are donation-based. The products are reward-based. What's the difference? In a reward-based campaign, you're actually working to pre-fund your production. So these people are buying your product in advance. They are not donating their money. They expect to get that watch in return. Now, you can typically raise a lot more money with a reward-based campaign than you can with a donation-based campaign, but there is an expectation that you will actually deliver upon your product. Now, if you move over to the right-hand side, these are the two new forms of crowdfunding that have just become legal in the United States as of late last year. So this is equity and debt-based crowdfunding. If you look at these two, what's the difference? When people give you money, they expect money in return. When people give you money, they expect to have equity in your company. They get shares of stock in your company. So in these two instances, this was actually illegal prior to April 5th of 2012, when the Jobs Act was signed into a law, because the SEC believed that we as everyday people were not smart enough to invest our money, that we needed investment advisors and banks to do that for us. Ever since 2008, though, Congress changed their mind and they said, you know what, we should take our money into our own hands. We should democratize access to capital for small business owners and startups, and we should democratize access to capital markets for everyday people, so you can invest your own money intelligently on your own. So, how do you do it? If you're an entrepreneur in the room who's wanting to do a crowdfunding campaign, where do you start? The first thing that you need to do is understand your target audience. We talked about those 4 different kinds of crowdfunding campaigns, and each of them have very different audiences. Why do people give money on a crowdfunding platform? Well, it's either because they want to participate in a cause that's greater than themselves. It's because they want to get something in return. It's because they believe in the entrepreneur. And so think about niches that you can fill. Are you a company that serves in the fitness arena? Are you an environmental-based company? Think about specific target audiences that you can connect with before you ever begin. All right, have an end goal. This is a really important piece. Think about how much money you want to raise in your crowdfunding campaign and make sure that it's realistic. I would encourage you to think low, which is not what people typically tell entrepreneurs, but I would tell you, think of a number that you can actually meet. The biggest failure that many people don't realize is if I set a goal of $1 million and I only raise $10,000, I'm seen as a failure very, very publicly. If I look to raise $10,000 and I raise $1 million, then I'm a huge success. So think small. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you've ever heard of Karen the bus monitor, but a few years ago she got bullied. And there was a man who felt very bad for her about this whole bullying situation. And he ran a Kickstarter campaign for her. I'm sorry, it was an Indiegogo campaign for her with a goal of raising $7,000 to send Karen on vacation. Instead, he raised $700,000 and was like several hundred percentage points over his goal. This ended up catching like wildfire. It has millions of views, the video tied to it, 6 million views on YouTube as a result of this. So think small when you're doing your crowdfunding campaign, just think realistically. Next, passionately pitch your project. If you can't sell it, nobody else can, okay? And today, you should be practicing that as you're talking to the people on the other side of this wall in just a few moments. But pitching your project is more than just talking about it. Think about your name. Think about your brand. How do you describe your project or your company? And think very long and hard about putting together a video. It doesn't have to be a very expensive video. You can do it yourself. It can cost you no money, but campaigns that have videos are 130% more successful than campaigns that don't. So make sure you think about putting a video together. Think about the 2 videos you just saw on the last panel, how powerful that was to hear those guys talk about their business. They're going to raise a heck of a lot more money in a crowdfunding campaign than a competitor who does not. Prepare. I can't put enough emphasis on this particular slide. Think in advance. If you're going to do a campaign, and campaigns should typically be between 30 and 60 days, be thinking about that at least 60 days in advance and put a calendar in place. Think about every single week of your campaign. This is a full-time job. When am I going to send out emails to my friends and family? When am I going to do social media posts? When am I going to have my influencer friends who have social media blogs post on my behalf? When am I going to have events in my home or in my business? These are the success factors that you have to plan for in advance and put onto a calendar. And so, like I say, planning ahead is very important. Your contributions will happen at the beginning and the end of your campaign. So if you run a 45-day campaign, this is mainly for donations and rewards, the first 10 days and the last 10 days, you'll raise 90% of your goal. And so what I like to say is, first of all, make sure you raise a good amount in that first 10 days for a few reasons. The first is that that's when you're going to have the most traction. The second is if you don't raise a lot in those first 10 days, and when I say a lot, 30% is the goal. You should raise 30% of your goal within the first 10 days of your campaign. Think long and hard in that preparation phase about how you can raise that money in advance. But also, be thinking about how you keep the attention of your crowd in that middle period. That's when you want to have events. That's when you want to have blog posts. That's when you want the press to pick up on this. Think long and hard about when you want to send out your press release about your campaign, and make sure it's after day 10. I say this because a lot of people will say, I put up a crowdfunding campaign, let's go tell the New York Times. Well, the New York Times may come to your crowdfunding campaign on day 2 and see that you've raised $5. And they say, what? They couldn't even raise $100 from their parents? This is ridiculous. So make sure that you don't send out your press release until you've hit 30% of your goal or more. I already talked about the importance of photos and video, or particularly video. The importance of photos. Take photos throughout your campaign and post them to your campaign. It shows progress, and it also makes you human. So this is a great way to keep people's attention in that middle period of showing you actually in your production facility. Look at our newest product. We just came out with it today. Think about some things that you can talk about and show pictures of during your campaign. All right, goal setting. On a 30-day campaign, you want to make sure that you're providing rewards if you're doing donation or reward-based crowdfunding, and you should have more than one reward level. So think about having 3 to 8 reward levels. People will typically buy in at the first level, the cheapest, on day 1, and then on day 28, they'll buy in at the 3rd or 4th level up. And so you want to give them optionality. Think also about your rewards and the shipping. If you're going to offer rewards, a lot of people haven't thought about the cost of shipping. You're going to have contributors coming from all over the world, and you have to think about how much it's going to cost to ship that keychain to Singapore. So be thinking about non-tangible rewards you can offer. Can you put their credits, their name in the credits of your movie? Can you offer them things in their location that you don't have to ship? Be thinking about those types of rewards. Preparation, make sure that you think long and hard about the social media outlets that you should be tapping into in that preparation phase. Connect with those reporters, with those bloggers in advance, and schedule them on specific days to post on your behalf. Social media is your friend in crowdfunding, and you should be using it throughout the campaign. Finally, stay active. One of the biggest mistakes that we see, and I've coached through Bad Girl Ventures more than 300 crowdfunding campaigns, and many of which, I would say more than 50% of which have been successful. And what we've learned is a lot of people will say, okay, I've put my campaign up, I have a very pretty video, I'm done. No, you'll fail. You have to be extremely active. Every single day you should be posting something because your crowd wants to see that you're actually active in your business, that you take this seriously. Thank you notes. I mentioned how important updates are during your campaign. It's just as important to do updates and thank yous after your campaign. I can't emphasize enough how great it is to thank your donors, your supporters immediately after the campaign, and then thereafter provide them with quarterly updates. Treat them as if they are your angel investors. You know why? They will be your angel investors in your next project. Most of these crowdfunding contributors are coming in early because they are looking to invest later. And if you have multiple crowdfunding campaigns, and people who've done it once tend to be addicted, they're like serial crowdfunders, those contributors are your contributors every single time, as long as you treat them well. Finally, milestones. Communicate your milestones in advance. To put them in your campaign. These are the things we hope to accomplish in the next 45 days, and these are the things we're going to accomplish in the year thereafter, and then deliver on those and communicate those deliverables. Treat this as if you are raising an equity round from angel investors. It will only set you up for success later on in the life of your business. Now, mistakes to avoid. Unrealistic expectations. I told you about Karen the bus monitor. What if that guy had said, I want to raise $700,000 for this woman who was bullied on a bus? I bet he wouldn't have raised $7. So be realistic about your expectations. Don't think if I build it, they will come. You will fail. Not marketing. One of the things that we've learned is that a lot of people don't think that they're very good marketers. Get some. Find some friends who know how to use social media and get them on your team early on. Get them invested early on. The final thing I'll say is small donations. When you get a donation for $5, $10, many times you think, I just want to ignore these people because they're a waste of my time, they're little money. I'm going to focus on the person who gave $500. What I will tell you is 50% of those people who give small donations come back and give large donations or contributions later in your campaign. They're the people who you should be spending actually the majority of your time communicating out to. And that's the beauty of crowdfunding campaigns is you have a social media channel. You don't have to call them every day. Just send them a post. Put it on your site, update them. And that's it from me. If you have any further questions, I will be at the Dealstruck table on the other side of the wall.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
I got to do that.
I'll wrap up again by inviting you to the Women Investing in Women Summit. The gentlemen and ladies are welcome. It is an event to help entrepreneurs understand how to position their company for angel investing, also to connect with angel investors, as well as folks that are interested in learning about how they might become an angel investor, what types of deals to look for, what kind of structure should they be asking for. We're going to be teaching both sides of the table. It's at University of San Diego the 18th and 19th of July. It's a Friday afternoon and a Saturday morning. Going to be an incredible event. We have amazing speakers, incredible panelists, and breakout sessions.